Good evening, everyone. We're here for City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. We'll start with the roll call and determination of quorum.
Scott. Here. Drew. Nordstrom. Here. Modrick. Here. Solomon. Here. Lewis. Here. Armstrong. Here. Laurenti. Here. Drury. Here. Roberts. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We have no invocation tonight, so if you all would choose to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to All right, thank you. Now on to the adoption of the agenda. Now's the time we can adopt the agenda as written, or the council can make modifications. Is there a motion? Second. Motion by Lewis and a second by Solomon to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now we'll come down front for a couple of awards. Be a good time for a fire alarm, wouldn't it? Is Jared Narlock here? In partnership with the Veterans Coordination Commission, we're pleased to present the January 2018 Veteran of the Month recognition to Jared Narlock. Having been raised in a military family and possessing a strong desire to serve his country after the events of September 11, 2001, Jared enlisted in the United States Air Force in July of 2002. This began a 6-year enlistment with the Air Force. He was first stationed at Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he worked as a computer systems operator in the Air Force Research Lab with both secure and unsecure networks. He was then transferred to Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi. While stationed at Keesler, Jared became a military training instructor, teaching new enlistments, cross-training service members, and foreign military leaders the career field of communications computer systems. This included configuring servers, routers, and switches, and building entire computer network infrastructures with minimal equipment for remote deployment locations. Keesler Air Force Base is also known for being one of the top 3 Air Force training bases in the country. Jared was just one of 3 instructors out of 26 that were certified to teach the entire 4-month curriculum of the course. Jared was serving at Keesler during Hurricane Katrina, and he was awarded a humanitarian award for his efforts in cleaning and restoring the base and surrounding communities after complete devastation. He and his family lost their home and vehicles to the hurricane, but in true leadership fashion, he worked to clean up the community and help others while not having a home himself. Jared continues to be a steward of leadership and has brought skills he has acquired from serving in the Air Force to the corporate world at Regional Health, where he is known to inspire growth and mentor career development. He's currently employed as Vice President of Talent Development for Regional Health in Rapid City. It's observed by his fellow coworkers that Jared aspires to help others and his organization grow in a selfless manner. Jared remains dedicated to serving his community and currently serves on the boards of Workforce Diversity Network of the Black Hills and Working Against Violence. He is known to regularly volunteer at his church and has participated in teaching junior achievement for the past 3 years. Jared and his wife of 15 years, Nicole, have lived in Rapid City for almost 10 years. They have one son, Caden, who is 10 years old. Jared is to be commended for his service to his country His example of steward leadership and service makes him deserving of this honor, and we'd like to extend our gratitude on behalf of the citizens of Rapid City. Thank you.
I want to thank the city for this award and appreciate everything this community has done for my family and I. Obviously, it was an honor to serve in the military, something that I don't take lightly, and appreciate that time, as well as being a member of this community for the last decade. So want to thank you all, want to thank you for this wonderful honor, and have a great evening.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, on there, and a little coffee mug. And then could the members of the Mayor's Committee on Disabilities come up, please? And also, is Jen Red Bear here? Any other members from your group, Jen? Nope? Yeah, come on up. Catherine, would you mind forward? Catherine's going to sing the national anthem for us.
You're all going to leave the room. It's my honor this evening to honor and recognize with a certificate of appreciation the state of South Dakota, the county of Pennington, and the city of Rapid City by the mayor of Rapid City to present on this 16th day of January 2018 to Western Resources for Independent Living, an acknowledgement and appreciation of their pursuit of inclusion and their ethical standards of excellence and recognition of their program awareness, breaking down barriers and dedicating efforts to improve the lives of people with disabilities in our community. It is my honor to recognize Western Resources and Jen, who is now their executive director. Congratulations, Jen.
Thank you. Appreciate this award. We will continue to work with the community, with people who have disabilities, keep them living in their home independently.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Together? That'd be all right? Were your picture close tonight? Thank you for sharing those awards with us. And now on to the mayor's items. Item number 3. And this item will be to confirm the appointment of Rod Seals as chief of the Rapid City Fire Department and authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign an employment contract. And folks, I think I've written a letter to the council about this appointment and his qualifications. Rod Seals is a very capable chief and has undergone 14 months of deliberation, not really deliberations, but of a process where we made sure that everything was in order, it was the right timing, and I believe that with this appointment, the fire department will continue to be in capable hands. So we'll go to Chad Lewis now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Make a motion to approve, please.
Okay, we have a motion to approve appointment by Chad Lewis and second by Jason Solomon. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and the next item is to swear in Rod Seals as the chief of the Rapid City Fire Department. Be sworn in by Pauline Sumption, our city's finance officer.
I, Rod Seals, solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or for the purpose of evasion, that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of Fire Chief within the office of the Rapid City Fire Department, Rapid City, South Dakota, according to the law, to the best of my ability. So help me God.
All right, thank you for that, and thanks to all the fire professionals for coming out and supporting tonight, too. Good to see you guys. Yeah. Okay, moving on with the agenda, there are no speaker requests for general public comment, so we'll bypass that and go right on to non-public hearing items 5 through 40, and we'll open public comment on 5 through 33. There are no speaker requests, so we won't have a public comment. Brings us to consent items 5 through 33. Would the council like to pull any of these items? Jason Solomon.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 18, please.
Steve Laurenti.
Item 21, please. Thank you.
And I got a note from Public Works. They want to pull 30 and 31. And we have one speaker request form we'll get to right after the consent vote. We'll go backwards and do that. Okay, so then I could use a motion to approve consent items with the exception of 18, 21, 30, and 31. So moved. Motion by Laurenti, second by Drury. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And now to item 18, which is approve resolution number 2018-001, resolution in support of additional mental health services in western South Dakota. Jason Solomon.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to approve, if I can get a second.
Second by Lisa Modrick. Go ahead.
And just very briefly, I made some comments at Legal and Finance, so I won't hammer it home too much, but I appreciate this council's approval of this resolution because it highlights the need for mental health care services West River, that we have services that are both humane and effective West River and serve this growing community, that folks can be around their support system and get the help that they need in an effective way. And so I wholeheartedly support this, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Richie Nordstrom.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add on that I really support this resolution that you brought forward. It's really worthwhile pursuing. And just a comment, just something to think about, is that nobody's done a cost analysis of this. And I think if the state did a cost analysis of it, it would prove cost effective for the state to do this program. And then here's the stories about the people that are having problems, the mental illness problems, and having to be shackled in just like prisoners to the bus. That's very disturbing. And if we can get that facility built here on the west side of the state, I think with all the support people that are around these troubled individuals can have an opportunity to fulfill and bring on a good quality of life. So thank you, Mayor, for bringing this forward. And then also acknowledge Al Scoville for bringing this to our attention as well. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 18. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 21. Approve resolution 2018-003, a resolution writing off uncollectible account receivable accounts for parking violations. Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, I'd like to ask the finance officer a question on this, if I may.
Please do.
Pauline, this comes up every year, so there's some public that have questions about this. If you can just briefly describe what happens to these, since we write them off at the end of, after the end of the year, each year, what happens after that?
Typically what will happen, and thank you for the question because we've been getting it quite a bit, it seems like today. What we're doing is writing it off the books for accounting purposes, so it comes off the general ledger on the balance sheet side, basically. However, these tickets will stay in our parking ticket system. They don't go away. It's not like they don't have to pay it. It will actually count towards their 5 tickets or the $100 before they get the boot if they are repeat offenders. I know last year we did write them off completely, so we had a clean slate going into the new system. But this, typically we would not do that. It would still remain within the system. So if you have one of the tickets on this list, I suggest you pay it, because if you get too many, you will get booted.
All right, very good. So our citizens who have parking tickets, this isn't a free pass. We'll still be expecting you to pay those. So I just wanted to get that across. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Motion to approve by Solomon, second by Armstrong. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, for item 30 and 31, requested to pull by Dale Tech Public Works Director. Let's get a brief explanation from him.
Thank you, Mayor. City of Rapid City Public Works staff has been working with the apparent low bidder. There's a minor issue with the bid. We just want to make sure we have it right. So continuation to the February 5th meeting would be appropriate at this time.
Okay, we had a motion by Nordstrom and a second by Scott. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us through consent, and we're just going to back up one quick minute and hear from Heather. Sorry about your last name. Onspa, under public comment. You can just go to the podium over here where there's a microphone, and you'll have 3 minutes. There's a little timer here with lights to remind you.
I just want to bring your attention to the need for an emergency homeless shelter downtown for the people who, for various reasons, are not being served by the Cornerstone Rescue Mission. It's dangerous to be outside in sub-zero temperatures, and people are loitering in businesses and even getting intoxicated and committing minor crimes in the hopes of being picked up and taken to detox or taken to jail for the night just so they have a safe place to sleep. And we all deserve a safe place to sleep. My 12-year-old daughter and I went last night to a church basement downtown where 20 people were gathered to get out of the cold. And a woman told me how in the morning she would pack up all the blankets and the food and the coffee pot into black plastic trash bags and put them in the back of her truck. And on the next frigid night, she would hope to find another church basement that'd be willing to host them. Then volunteers will drive up and down the alleys looking for people who have nowhere else to go and picking them up and bringing them back to whatever shelter that they were able to find for the nights. And it's sad and it's unnecessary, and I think we can do better. Thank you.
Okay, now on to ordinances, item 34, first reading. Ordinance number 6221, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 1 for 2018. Committee recommendation was for approval. Motion by Solomon, second by Nordstrom. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 35, second reading, ordinance number ordinance number 6216, an ordinance amending section 5.52.130 of the Rapid City Municipal Code relating to merchant security vehicle identification. Committee recommendation is for approval.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Solomon, second by Nordstrom. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to Community Development Department items, and the one Public Works item will go to Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I will read in number 17 PL 132, a request by KTM Design Solutions, Inc. for Moeller's Limited Partnership for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposal lots 3A, 3B, and 3C, generally described as being located northwest of the intersection of Omaha Street and Lacrosse Street. Recommendation is to approve with stipulations.
Was that a motion?
It is.
Okay, motion by Modrick and second by Roberts for approval with stipulations. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye.
Okay.
Well, I heard somebody talking down there, so I wondered if they were... Okay, all opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please, 37.
Thank you. Number 17 PL 133. A request by DC Scott Surveyors, Inc. for Robert T. Sunby for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposal Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3, and Lot 4 of Unadell Acres, number 3, generally described as being located southwest corner of the Sheridan Lake Road and Wildwood Drive intersection. The recommendation is to approve with stipulations.
Okay, was that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Modrick, second by Lewis for approval with stipulations. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 38.
Number 17, PL 134, a request by Stuart Martin for Prairie Valley Development Company, LLC, for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lots 11 through 19 of Block 4, lots 2 through 19 of Block 5, lots 2 through 9 of Block 6, and lots 5 through 9 of Block 7 of Prairie Fire subdivision, generally described as being located southwest of the intersection of Anderson Ranch Road and Winton Street. Recommendation on this is approved with stipulations, and I won't be making that recommendation at this time.
Second. Okay, motion to approve by Lewis, second by Solomon. All in favor of approval with stipulation, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 39.
Thank you. Number 17, PL 137, a request by Spurlick Consulting, Inc. for Park Hill Development, Inc. for a Park Hill subdivision number 7, generally described as being located northwest of the intersection of Sydney Drive and Bridgeview Drive. Recommendation is approved with stipulations. I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we had a motion by Modrick and a second by Lewis to approve with stipulations. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 40.
To continue, PW 010918-11, deny the request from Chuck Gumo for Air Serv of the Black Hills for a variance of waiver of the requirement of install sidewalk per city ordinance 12.08.060 along Galt Court for the property located at 3535 Galt Court, and I'm not making a motion at this time.
Okay. Go to Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. We had quite a conversation in Public Works on this. There was a discussion about the ordinance, and in this particular cul-de-sac, and if you had a chance to drive out there today, it was a beautiful day to take a look at it. It really showed where half of that cul-de-sac had followed ordinance, or at the time that it was being built was recommended to put the sidewalks in, which had. One of those businesses is a corner lot, so it actually goes on Taggart and Galt Avenue. The other side, which that business was before it, or was given a warp of its time, so it does not have it. So by placing this at this time, this recommendation for sidewalks, it will be a sidewalk to nowhere on both ends. It will be an open-ended sidewalk. There is a lot that will be called in for sidewalk, which will finish the rounded part of that cul-de-sac. However, this sidewalk will end where the warp or the variance, or perhaps when it wasn't an ordinance at that time, will not connect. So as I've researched this, this is a part of our discussion that we have constantly about sidewalks is, do we put a sidewalk in or don't we put a sidewalk in? And if we do so, do we start calling in the sidewalks where we're going to start getting connections? This could be an opportunity to call in a sidewalk that will actually give that cul-de-sac a completion of sidewalk. Or we do this sidewalk to nowhere. We never know when that next development's going to be, and then it's just going to end where a pretty large corner lot is, where there isn't a sidewalk. So it was in my discussion during the Public Works side that I wanted to take this to our committee, and I want to bring it forward to council as to when is the appropriate time to call in a sidewalk and allow these connections, if we so deem that we're going to follow ordinance, to make the connections of the sidewalks start happening. If we don't call them in and we allow sidewalks to have end-to-end with no place to go, we're really not doing anybody any good. And we're causing a tremendous amount of expense to a business owner who's putting in a sidewalk that's going to have maintenance on it but has nobody walking on it. So I'd like to see us, when we see these come before us and we follow what is being requested through ordinance, that we also start calling in the neighbors next door and let those sidewalks start getting completed instead of leaving them end to end without any finish on both ends. So if you've had a chance to look at the pictures, you're going to see exactly what it is. This would complete the cul-de-sac. If we're going to call this in for this particular company, we should call in the whole cul-de-sac and call it done, get it done right. And that's what all I have at the moment, Mayor. Thank you.
Amanda Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to uphold the denial.
Okay, we have a motion by Scott and a second by Solomon.
May I continue, Mayor?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So I appreciate Alderwoman Modrick's discussion on this, because the City Council, ever since I've been on City Council, and many of us have been on for a long time, this is a continuing discussion. Currently, our ordinance says that when they pull a building permit, that's when, you know, they're supposed to put the sidewalk in, but they have the option of coming before City Council or the Public Works and ask for a waiver. And past councils, we've talked about that sidewalk to nowhere. But the issue that comes up is when the City Council does so many of those sidewalks to nowhere waivers, then when it gets built up around them, we don't have a mechanism by staff to go back and have those lots that already have a structure on them to call in that sidewalk. And I believe that's what Alderwoman Modrick is saying. And I'm in full support of that. I know that Mr. Dale Tech has mentioned a couple times that if the council wants to call that out. They did a study the last time, but they kind of took it on a global level of like a full street type thing. And I think at the time, I won't speak for the rest of the council, but I was looking for those onesie-twosies to actually complete the sidewalk in an area. So I could totally support if there's a lot with a structure that was waived in the past, I would consider having staff come back with, you know, the process, and let's get that started on any lots on this street that have a structure on them. However, I cannot find it with myself to have a vacant lot called in to have a sidewalk put in, because once you do that, and we're prime in winter conditions, if you put that sidewalk in and there's no structure, there's nobody living there, there's no business there to take care of it, you're making the owner of that lot come out and clear that sidewalk, which is ridiculous if you don't have somebody that's right there. So I couldn't support calling in a sidewalk on a vacant lot at this time. But I could certainly support anybody that was waived in the past of not putting in a sidewalk. If you've got sidewalks on either side of you, please put them in. Otherwise, I am in support of the City Council taking a look at some type of mechanism that we can initiate to get those called in, to get them completed. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to uphold the denial or to deny the variance, correct?
I'm in there, Mayor. Sorry. I meant to be in there. I have one more thing. I think I have a minute.
Yep, you have a minute
Thank you.
40.
Thank you.
Lisa Modrick.
Thank you. Just to reconfirm, because one of the sides is a pretty big business, so it would connect on an entire corner and finish that side as it is with the business across from it. So my question, because it continues to be a discussion, and we say staff can certainly bring it to our attention, but you know, how and when do we call it in? Do we call it in now when we're putting this in? Because the lot will be called in with sidewalk no matter what. That's the ordinance. It'll connect to one side, but the other side's going to stop. It's going where there's a business, a very viable business there, that should have a finished sidewalk. So at what point do we call this in? How do we call it in? I've been asking that, and I'm told, well, the City Council calls it in. But when do we call it in? Is this the time? I mean, do we add a adjustment to this motion to say, and we call in the side part? Do we need to create policy? I mean, we need some kind of a guideline, and so does staff. They're out there trying to do the right thing, and we need to do the right thing on the dais, but we always say, well, we can always call it in, but I've yet to find out how we do that. So if maybe somebody can inform me of that process, that would be excellent, so we can start resolving some of these down the road. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get City Attorney's Office and Public Works together behind the scenes to prepare your options for you and send them out to you. We'll go back to Amanda Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to follow up by asking Mr. Dale Tech a question concerning this, because the city, as long as I've been on the City Council, we've asked for that before, and that's where staff has come back to us. So if you don't mind, can I ask Mr. Dale Tech a question or two? So Dale, and this is more legal, but I believe on the City Council, if Alderwoman Modrick or someone else on the council wanted to direct or ask the mayor to direct staff to bring forward as a separate item, that just directs staff to go forward and start bringing it forward on a specific lot, or we just have to, as a council person, add an item to the agenda for a specific lot or lots or whatever that we want to bring forward to have staff start looking on how to call that in. Correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And then also, because once the City Council ask staff, because that's what we did, and staff did an excellent job. They went out and they looked at 5 major roads, but they looked at the whole road. And then when it came back to the council, it contained lots with structures and vacant lots, and it looked at, ordering the whole sidewalk in. That's where I couldn't support ordering in a sidewalk on a vacant lot, because there's just too much maintenance on it. So that's not to say staff didn't do their job. You guys did an excellent job on that. But I think what we need to do is, if Alderwoman Modrick is really interested, we need to come from our wards and kind of identify those. I also just want to confirm, I did have a constituent contact me, and I asked you about it. You sent out a very friendly letter, and we didn't have to bring it before council to order it in. Just the letter from your department got the homeowner to install the sidewalk. Isn't that correct?
That's true, yes.
So there are other methods, and I had talked to Mr. Tech about that and said, how do I order this in? Because I did have a constituent. Dale is the one, Mr. Tech is the one that said, let's try the softer approach first. And it worked. Just their department sent out a letter. The homeowner, we gave them plenty of time to get the sidewalk. They installed it. I got emails from the constituents. I think I passed it on to staff. It was a huge thank you, because it was literally a missing lot with a home on it that was waived a long time ago. This completed the sidewalk, and there were a lot of walkers that appreciate that. So thank you, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to ask those questions.
Okay, the motion on the floor is for denial of the variance. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Okay, motion carries with 1 no vote. Okay, now to public hearing items. There are no speaker requests on these items, so we won't have a public hearing on 41 through 44. Consent items 41 through 44. Does the council want to remove any of these or approve them all? Motion to approve by Scott, second by Laurenti. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. For the bill list, we'll go to Pauline Sumption.
That was a quick meeting. I'm trying, sorry. So there are no additions to the bill list that is attached, so the total remains at $7,619,092.40.
Okay, motion to approve by Solomon and a second by Laurenti. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Okay, a motion and a second to adjourn. Everyone votes. Aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. We're adjourned.